It was a stormy night on a lonely American ranch when a woman walked into his bedroom wearing almost nothing and whispered, "This is an Apache ritual." He didn't speak. He didn't move. One wrong word could destroy trust, culture, and boundaries forever. What happened next wasn't romance. It was restraint, silence, and a choice that changed two lives. This story isn't about desire. It's about respect, grief, and the power of understanding between two strangers from different worlds. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like this video if you enjoy deep, meaningful stories, share it with someone who appreciates real storytelling, and comment below, would you have spoken or stayed silent? Let's begin. The ranch lay far from the nearest town, surrounded by open plains and low mountains that stretched endlessly under the American sky. Ethan Walker had chosen this isolation years ago, not out of weakness but survival. After losing his wife in a highway accident, silence became safer than memories. His days were filled with routine, horses at dawn, fences by noon, paperwork at night. He didn't expect change, and he didn't want it. That was why the call from the Cultural Outreach Office surprised him. A temporary guest, they said. A woman, just a few weeks. He almost refused. Maya arrived in a dusty SUV just before sunset. She stepped out calmly, carrying a small bag and a folded blanket. There was nothing dramatic about her entrance, yet Ethan felt something shift. She introduced herself politely, her English clear but careful. She explained she was Apache, participating in a cultural documentation program tied to local land history. Ethan nodded, listening more than speaking. He showed her the guest room, the kitchen, the rules of the house, simple, firm, respectful. Maya thanked him, her eyes steady. There was no flirtation, no curiosity, just mutual distance and quiet understanding. That evening passed without incident. They ate separately, exchanged brief conversation about schedules, and retreated to their own spaces. Ethan believed the arrangement would remain strictly practical. He was wrong. The wind picked up after midnight, violent enough to shake the house. Thunder rolled across the plains like something ancient waking up. Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling, memories pressing in. Then he felt it, the mattress shifting slightly. His body tensed instantly, instincts flaring. He turned his head slowly and saw Maya standing near the bed, barefoot, wrapped in minimal traditional clothing, her posture calm, almost solemn. She didn't touch him. She didn't smile. In a controlled, quiet voice she spoke. She said it was an Apache ritual, one performed during moments of transition and fear. A ritual of shared space, not intimacy. Protection, not desire. Her words were measured, as if chosen carefully to avoid misunderstanding. Ethan's mind raced. Everything in him wanted to speak, to stop the situation, to demand
explanation. But something held him back. Perhaps it was the sincerity in her tone, or the weight of his promise to respect her culture. Ethan stayed silent. He shifted slightly, making room, his jaw clenched. Maya lay on the far edge of the bed, facing away from him, leaving deliberate space between them. There was no movement, no sound beyond the storm outside. The moment felt heavy, charged with uncertainty. Ethan stared into the darkness, his heart pounding. He wasn't afraid of her. He was afraid of crossing a line he couldn't undo. He chose stillness. The silence became a boundary stronger than words. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, restraint ruled. Time moved slowly. Ethan counted his breaths, grounding himself. He realized how easily assumptions could destroy trust. Maya had not asked for comfort. She had asked for safety. In her culture, silence carried meaning. In his, silence had become a shield. Their reasons were different, but the act was the same. The bed did not become a place of temptation. It became neutral ground. Two strangers sharing space without ownership, without expectation. The storm eventually softened, rain fading into distance like retreating footsteps. Ethan didn't sleep much. His thoughts wandered through memories of his wife, of promises made and broken by fate. He wondered if he had done the right thing. He wondered if silence was cowardice or respect. When the house finally grew quiet, he sensed Maya rise from the bed. She moved carefully, ensuring she didn't disturb him. The door closed softly behind her. Ethan exhaled deeply, a tension releasing that he hadn't realized he was holding. The night left no physical trace, but its weight remained. Morning light spilled across the room, revealing nothing out of place. The house looked the same, yet it felt different. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, coffee cooling in his hands, replaying the night in his mind. Maya emerged later, dressed simply, her demeanor composed. There was no awkwardness in her expression, no embarrassment, only calm. She greeted him politely, as if the night had been a shared understanding rather than an incident. Ethan nodded back, measuring his words carefully. They didn't discuss it immediately. They spoke about the weather, the horses, the schedule for the day. Yet beneath the surface, something had shifted. Trust had been tested without being spoken aloud. Ethan realized that respect wasn't passive. It required discipline. Maya, in turn, sensed his restraint and understood its value. Whatever had happened during the storm was not a mistake, nor was it an invitation. It was a moment suspended between two worlds, handled carefully by both. As the day moved forward, Ethan knew one thing for certain. This arrangement was no longer simple. Boundaries would need to be defined, not assumed. Silence alone could not carry everything. But for now, part one of their story ended with mutual restraint. Unanswered questions and a quiet
understanding that some moments are meant to be survived, not explained. The day after the storm unfolded slowly. As if the land itself needed time to settle, Ethan worked the ranch harder than usual, repairing fences that didn't need fixing, keeping his hands busy to quiet his thoughts. Maya spent the morning documenting old boundary markers near the creek, carefully sketching symbols and notes. They crossed paths only briefly, exchanging polite nods. Neither rushed the conversation they both knew was coming. By late afternoon, the air grew still, heavy with unsaid words. Ethan finally asked if she wanted coffee. She agreed, her expression calm, prepared. They sat at the kitchen table, sunlight cutting through the windows. Ethan spoke first. He said he respected her culture, but clarity mattered. The ranch was his home, and boundaries were necessary for both of them. Maya listened without interruption. When he finished, she nodded. She explained the ritual again, more fully this time. It was used during emotional crossings, grief, displacement, uncertainty. It was never meant to invite desire. She admitted she should have explained earlier, but fear had guided her more than reason. Ethan appreciated the honesty. Maya then shared her story. Her community had lost land through legal pressure. Not violence, but the damage felt the same. She had grown up between worlds, taught to preserve traditions while adapting to modern America. The program brought her to this region because her ancestors once passed through it. The storm had triggered memories of ceremonies meant to restore balance. In that moment, she sought grounding, not comfort. Ethan listened closely, realizing her courage was quiet, not dramatic. Ethan spoke of his own loss, something he rarely shared. He described the night the state trooper knocked on his door, the silence that followed the words he never wanted to hear. He admitted that after his wife's death, he avoided emotional closeness, mistaking distance for strength. Maya didn't interrupt. She understood grief lived differently in every culture, but its weight was universal. For the first time, Ethan felt heard without being pitied. The conversation shifted something between them. They agreed on clear boundaries moving forward. No rituals without discussion, no shared spaces without consent. Respect would guide everything. The tension that once felt dangerous softened into mutual trust. Over the next few days, life at the ranch settled into rhythm. Maya helped with horses, learning routines with care. Ethan assisted her research, pointing out landmarks locals had forgotten. Their conversations grew deeper, yet remained careful. Trust, they learned, wasn't built through intensity, but consistency. One evening, Maya asked Ethan to join her at the creek. She wanted to perform a closing ceremony, one that required no proximity, no shared space, only witnesses. Ethan agreed. She placed small stones in a circle, speaking softly in her native language. The ritual honored transitions completed, not begun. Ethan stood a respectful distance away, feeling the weight of the moment without needing to understand every word. When she finished, she thanked him for allowing her culture space without judgment. As her final week approached, both felt the quiet pull of change. Maya received confirmation that her work was complete. She would be leaving. Ethan felt the familiar instinct to retreat, to protect himself from another goodbye. But this time, he didn't run from the feeling. On her last night, they shared dinner together. No tension, no confusion, Just two people acknowledging what had passed between them. Maya told him that silence, when chosen with respect, could be powerful. Ethan agreed. The next morning, the same dusty SUV waited by the road. Maya loaded her bag, pausing before getting in. She thanked Ethan not for the shelter, but for the restraint, for understanding that trust doesn't always look the way people expect. Ethan nodded, offering a quiet smile. As she drove away, the ranch returned to silence, but it no longer felt empty. Ethan went back inside, knowing that sometimes the strongest connections are the ones that never cross a line. The story didn't end with romance or regret. It ended with growth. Two people from different worlds met in a moment of uncertainty and chose respect over impulse. And that choice changed them both.